Hey, good day, everybody. Steve Przebrowski here. Welcome to episode 25 in the 101 Tips to Ace Your Promotional Exam series. So let's get going here so we can start to get to the meat of the matter. As a reminder, my website, code3firetrain.com, has a lot of great free information for you and anybody else that you may be mentoring, training, leading, or whatever. Stuff for all ranks. So a lot of good info. Please check it out. All right. Also, this series is based on my new book from Fire Engineering Books and Videos, 101 Tips to Ace Your Promotional Exam, available on their website as well as my website. You got a 25% off discount code in the bottom. Hopefully it works. And if it doesn't, let me know and I'll see what I can do for you. All right. Tip 25. Pretty short, pretty sweet. Sometimes you've got to step back or step to the side to step ahead. What that means, or what I'm trying to get across, is that, you know, when we're going through the course of life, most people set up goals and then objectives to get to those goals, and they create their path, try to move where they want, whether it's, well, I want to be a professional baseball player. So, well, you usually start out when you're young, maybe in junior high school, elementary school, high school, playing baseball. And then maybe if you're one of the million lucky ones, I guess, or one in a million lucky ones, you get signed to a pro contract, which is rare. And then you still got to get through the minor leagues, maybe play some college ball. Then you maybe make it to the major leagues. Then the actual odds of staying in the major leagues are pretty much impossible or minuscule. But again, I'm not saying don't have goals, don't have objectives, but not every path goes straight to the top. Not everyone can be LeBron James, where you play awesome basketball in high school and then you go right to the pros. I mean, LeBron, if I remember correctly, didn't even play college ball. He went straight from high school to pro, and then he's been in the NBA for what, like 18 years right now. He's probably one in a billion. And I mean that respectfully. Very talented man and done a lot of great things, but that's not the average person. The point is that sometimes you got to step back or step to the side. What I mean by that is that you set your goals and your objectives and you hopefully work toward them, and hopefully you're making those goals and the objectives are happening. But guess what? Life's going to throw you curveballs. It throws all of us curveballs, and it's how you handle those curveballs or the adversity that comes with those curveballs. That's what defines you, is really your true character. So when I say step back or step aside, I remember when I was an aspiring firefighter, I got out of high school and I didn't jump right into being an explorer or jump right into being a volunteer like I should have, and I'm not saying that's a bad or good thing, no regrets. But when I was going through high school, I was on the path to go to college. My parents wanted me to go to college, Cal State Hayward, and that's what I was focusing on. I had also been working at a drugstore, Long's Drugstores, which is now like CVS. Well, CVS did buy them out, but a retail drug chain. So anyway, I was doing that. I was actually working in management. I was going to college full time and I was working in a management position. I was making decent money for the time, but you know what? It was a good, solid career. Excuse me, job. It was not a career. I step back for that 1 second. Fire service was a career that I wanted. But anyway, I'd always set my sights on becoming a firefighter. So it wasn't like I'd forgotten about it, but it was like, hey, I'm working full time. I'm going to college, blah, blah. It wasn't until I was about 6 years into my 4-year degree. Yeah, 6 years in. It took me about 6.5 years to graduate from Cal State Hayward. Do the math on that one, see if you're awake or not. Yeah, it took me about 5.5, 6 years to realize, as I'm focusing on finishing my college degree, that you know what? I got to get my shit together here. I got to really buckle down, finish up my 4-year degree. And as soon as I'm done with my degree, I got to go back and get my 2-year degree in fire technology. You may go, why would you need a 2-year degree when you're finishing up a 4-year degree? Well, my 4-year degree was in criminal justice. Pretty close to it is public safety, pretty close to the fire department. There was no fire technology 4-year degrees. Plus, I'm not even really a fan of 4-year degrees in fire technology because they're very limiting. Get your 4-year degree in something you're very passionate about and something you wouldn't mind doing when you retire or if you get injured, but I digress. So here I was going, well, I probably need to enroll at Chabot College, where I still teach my 2-year degree, because Chabot's program also has an EMT certification program as well as a fire academy. And at the time had a paramedic program. I mean, those three things: paramedic program, EMT, and fire academy. That's like the golden tickets. Not golden tickets, nothing's guaranteed, but those are the three key things to have on your resume, at least in California and at least around the San Francisco Bay Area back in the 90s. And even to this day, because most departments require you to have EMT or paramedic just to apply. Not every department requires a firefighter one academy, but you know what? If you can go through a college academy and pass it successfully, you got a better chance of passing the department's academy when they hire you. I'll just leave it at that. But anyway, I'm focusing on finishing my 4-year degree and then transitioning to get my 2-year degree and then start taking tests and everything else. My buddy Greg Vitz and Greg was also working at Long Strugs. He's now retired as a captain from Stockton Fire. We were both very similar. We were going to Cal State Hayward together. And we sat down working at Long Strugs, and it's like, you know what? We got to get out of this place. Great place, fun people, but you know what? This is a job, not a career. So we set our sights on, okay, we're going to focus on going to Chabot College. We'll get our EMT, we'll start testing. We'll get our EMT. We'll then focus on getting into the Firefighter One Academy. Again, testing all the time for Bay Area departments and other California departments. And then, you know what? About a year and a half or 2 years into the process, because that's how long it gets, EMT, Firefighter Academy, and our degrees are almost done. If we're not hired yet, we're going to go to paramedic school, because at least at the time in the 90s, and even to this day, paramedic school brings you from like this many applicants that have maybe EMT or nothing to like this many applicants that have paramedic, because paramedics are still a hot commodity in many fire departments. So anyway, again, I mentioned I was working full time like Greg was. We're working full time. We're going to college full time. We don't have a lot of time for a social life, but we also had time to go to school. So we're working full time while we're going through our EMT programs, our Firefighter One academies. That's a lot, but you know what? It was worth it. However, once it came time that, you know what, we're 2 years into this thing, and you know what, we're getting close to getting the badge. I mean, we're getting, very close, but we still weren't getting to that top echelon because there was a lot of candidates. I mean, now there's not as many candidates, but back in the 90s, and I know I sound old, but when there was a department that had like 3 vacancies, they would get 3,000 applicants for 3 vacancies. Yeah, do the math on that one. So a lot of it was luck, meeting timing and opportunity, but a lot of it was just shit luck. Yeah, 3,000 for 3 jobs, do the math. But anyway, it was one of those things that, okay, when it came time to, you know what, we gotta go to paramedic school. We gotta bite the bullet for paramedic school. And out here, there's, a handful of different paramedic schools, some that were Monday through Friday, some that were one day a week, 2 days a week, part-time, full-time, some that were, very expensive. Because most colleges, usually if a college ran a paramedic program, it was obviously cheaper than a private school, but there was not really a lot of colleges. Chabot didn't offer theirs anymore. So it's like, you know what, we got to suck it up and go to a private paramedic school, because once we got that paramedic license for that department that had 3 vacancies, it wouldn't be 3,000 applications. It would be probably about 100 or less, maybe even 50 or less for 3 positions. Yeah, that's the benefit of going paramedic even to this day, is that you sometimes only have less than 100 applicants to compete from. So anyway, so the stepping back part comes when we made the decision to go to paramedic school. There was no way we could do paramedic school full time. I mean, it just, and even we picked a paramedic school that was 2 days a week. Yeah, even 2 days a week, 8 hours a day. Well, you got 5 days left a week. Yeah, we do, but also you got to study, because, like I said, I had finished a 4-year degree program, which was tough. Paramedic school was tougher than my 4-year degree. Yeah, paramedic school was way tougher than the toughest thing I've ever been through, paramedic school. So it's that stressful as it should be. And it's very challenging because you're always studying. And the 5 days off a week I had for those 2 days of class, we were studying most of the time. And I still had to work to pay some bills, but both of us had to step back from our full-time management positions at Long Strugs and go to part-time positions and just only work 2, 3 days a week. Because remember, you can't just do paramedic school 2 days and then have 5 days off. You got to work. We were also still testing at this time, because we were still trying to make sure, you don't just stop testing and taking, you want to take advantage of opportunities. So we were out there doing everything we could to be career firefighters. But anyway, as painful as it was stepping back, meaning I was no longer working as a full-time manager, I had to go back to part-time status. That also meant that I couldn't live on my own. I was renting an apartment, even with somebody else to help share the bills. I had to move back home with mom and dad, God rest their souls. That was painful. And I don't mean it because I didn't like or love my parents. I love them. But when you've been on your own for a while and you have to move back, it's like, oh man, I got to go from drinking, you know, Budweiser beer to Keystone Lighter, some of those other cheaper knockoffs. I got to really cut down my lifestyle from, eating burgers at Burger King to maybe top ramen. I mean, you joke about those things, but yeah, because paramedic school was not cheap. It was a lot of money that I had to put forward there that I had thankfully saved up money for, and thankfully my parents had given me a loan that I had to repay. But it was one of those things that not everyone can do that, especially we were single at the time. But imagine having a girlfriend, a boyfriend, husband, family, wife, kids. Good luck trying to be able to tell your significant other, oh, by the way, I'm going to go back to part-time status or just quit my job so I can focus on paramedic school. Yeah, oh, and pay the bills too. Oh, by the way, honey, can you actually go work now full time? Oh, maybe get a second job so I can just do this. Yeah, good luck on that one. So it was a pain for about a year, year and a half as I was going through paramedic school. But I tell you, that year, year and a half of moving back home, saving money, scrimping on what I was doing, cutting back on entertainment, cutting back on travel, but focusing on paramedic school was well worth it. Because, like I mentioned, instead of having a couple thousand applicants now I was competing with, I know you're only competing with yourself, but still you are competing with others. It brought it down to less than 100. So when I was testing for Santa Clara County Fire, when I got hired, instead of having thousands of applicants, they were hiring paramedics. They were hiring 11 paramedics. There was only 60 of us. Yeah, 60 people interviewing, all paramedics for 11 jobs. And I came out number 3. Love those odds. And even to this day, our last recruitment, just a couple months ago, we did a nationwide search for firefighter paramedic candidates. I was told we got about 40 applicants for firefighter paramedic. We got a couple hundred for EMT, but 40 or so for paramedic. And then by the time we invited pretty much most of them to the interview process, apparently there was like 36 we invited, 12 no-shows. So it was like 24 people that we actually interviewed. And about half of those that we actually interviewed didn't pass the test, didn't do well enough to pass, or failed the skills exam. And we had about 12 left, 12 to hire from. And then by the time you take away background investigations, psychological evaluations, people getting hired by other departments, because remember, if you're getting down to the final 12 to pick from, we could have hired all 12. Those people are probably also hot commodities in other departments because, again, as a paramedic, it's your gold ticket in a lot of places. So was it worth stepping back? Yeah, for that year, year and a half that I had to move back home, cut back my lifestyle, step back and go to part-time status, it paid off dividends because as a paramedic in many departments, that's a 10% bonus every paycheck. And usually paramedics do great at promotional exams. And I don't mean that negatively against EMTs or non-EMTs, but remember what I said about paramedic school. If you can make it through paramedic school, as tough as it is, tougher than 4 years of college, promotional exams are pretty easy because you're already used to studying. And I know it's not about just studying to pass the test, it's studying to do well at the next position you aspire to. I get that. But usually the paramedics are the ones that get promoted because they're used to the rigors of the testing process. So there's an example of stepping back. And now an example of stepping aside is, let's imagine you're a firefighter or you're a captain. You're having fun at your firehouse. You're enjoying your crew. You love running calls. But then you want to take the next step, say firefighter to captain or captain to battalion chief. Well, it's great to have all that fireground experience, but especially like, let's say you're a captain that's going for battalion chief, a shift battalion chief that's still supervising firefighters on a 24-hour shift. You know what? It is good to have operations experience. Don't get me wrong, but think about it. Think about your call volume in most departments. What do fires make up or significant incidents? I mean, in our department, fires make up 5% of the call volume, 5%. Well, now you tone it down because what are the actual fires? Meaning they got there and it was actually a fire, 1%. Significant events, probably about 1%. What's the other 90% plus of what we do is on a fire engine or fire truck, routine calls handled by the single company. So it's great to have the operational experience, but especially as an officer and especially as a chief officer, it's not just operations, it's people skills, personnel management skills, handling others, managing others, leading others, supervising others, administrative skills. So an example of that is that sometimes the best thing you can do for your career when you're going from captain to battalion chief or even firefighter to captain, if your department has a 40-hour spot in administration working Monday through Friday, say in training or operations or prevention. Yeah, I know we didn't sign up. Yeah, none of us signed up on the fire department to work an admin spot. I get it. I didn't sign up to drive a desk. I signed up to fight fire, save lives, wet stuff and red stuff, run calls. I get it. However, if you do want to get promoted, those that usually do well in the promotional exams, are the ones that have taken a 1 year or 2 year assignment in the Fire Prevention Bureau or in training or in operations or in admin somewhere. If your department has those, if you're a small department, you may not have those abilities to jump on a 40-hour schedule for a month or excuse me, a year or two, which are usually the assignments. But if you do, it's valuable experience. And you may say, well, Steve, you're teaching them to pass the test. No, no, no. It's not just about passing the test. Those that do well, not just on the test, but in their promoted position as chief officer or even company officer, are those that have spent time in a 40-hour admin position because they understand and get the bigger picture that it's operations is important, but so is the rest of the fire department. So you know what? Yeah, sometimes it may be painful to do things by stepping back or stepping aside, but usually they pay off in the long run. So maybe a year or two of inconvenience for you because of your schedule change or your maybe lifestyle change. Yeah, that's inconvenient, but you know what? That 1 or 2 years for the next 10, 20, 30, or 40 years or more may be beneficial. Got to look at the big picture, not the small picture. So yeah, 40-hour assignments are not the kiss of death. Trust me. Been there, done that, got the t-shirt. Yeah, I enjoy it and I miss running calls. But you know what? The 40-hour time I had as a captain and as a battalion chief helped me tremendously in each rank above and now as a deputy chief. So talk to those folks, get their feedback. And you know what? Nothing says you have to do it. Nothing says that you can't get promoted without a 40-hour assignment. But you know what? You're going to be a lot better off in the position if you do have that experience, and also, waiting around, waiting another go around to get promoted or the position you want is also not the end of the world. So you may not have that 40-hour time if that's an example of stepping aside, but you know what? It's not the end of the world. And you know what? Having to take the next test is not the end of the world either. Usually you're better off for it if you have to take a second test or a third test to get promoted. you know, some candidates get pissed off and frustrated and just say, screw it, I'm not going to do another test. So be it. But for those that maybe have to take a second or third test, and I look at that, don't look at that as stepping back. That could be stepping aside too if you have to take a second or third test just to get the badge. So think about it. Good things may come to those who wait, that old saying, but good things also definitely come to those who actually go out and get them, not waiting for them to land on their laps. Don't wait for the badge to fall from the sky into your lap. Get it. So again, thank you very much for the gift of your time, everybody. Feel free to reach out if I can be of any assistance to any of you at any given point. Until the next time, hopefully you're continuing to prepare yourself to be the best that you can be in that position you aspire to. So until then, take care, be safe, and we'll see you soon.